Welcome to the Marketing Revolution podcast. This is the underground movement of savage marketers from all over the world. We are not Fortune 500 companies. We are real entrepreneurs with real businesses that have one major thing in mind: to set goals and devour them daily. Because we understand that everyone wants to eat, but only savage marketers are willing to do the hunt. Now let's get this revolution started. Hey, what's happening, everybody? John Hiley here with the Marketing Revolution podcast and the Marketing Savage group. What's going on, savages? How you guys doing today? Any of you podcast listeners, if you guys have not checked out the Marketing Savage group, you motherfuckers are missing out, man. It is live. It's on fire. It's a group we started maybe a couple weeks ago. Already got 500 members, but 500 killers. I already said Thomas, and actually I'm going to introduce Thomas here because we got Thomas Keenan from UnFuck Your Business is the name of Thomas' book right here. And I got it in my hands for any of you guys who are watching inside the Marketing Savage group. Thomas is one savage motherfucker. And we are coming to you to talk about exactly how to unfuck your business. What's happening, Thomas?
What is up, brother? First off, thank you very much for the invite, and I'm grateful to be here.
Absolutely, man. But the wife is going to be interrupting us at some point because apparently she needs to run over some toys that she had bought our dog. So our little dog's running around here. She found out that he didn't have as many toys because he keeps ripping them apart. Mm-hmm. He's got this banana in there that he goes to town on this thing, man. It's like his lady. It's like his lady in his jail cell, man. And as soon as he gets in there, he's like, "What's up?" And then literally the banana's like twice the size of him, so he's giving the banana his banana. But that's the only one he's got left. So she's bringing him some toys over here, so she might make a guest appearance as well. Uh-huh. That being said, what's going on, Marketing Savage Group? And so Thomas, how you doing, brother?
Doing well. Been a hectic couple of weeks in my personal life. Got a lot of stuff going on as far as I sold my house in New York and I'm getting ready to move down to Dallas, Texas. And just as you can imagine, trying to get things aligned just perfectly so I can move out of one house and into the other at the right timing without any delays. It's been a little stressful, but nothing we can't beat.
Nothing you can't handle. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Thomas. Let's start with a little bit of a backstory. What got you in business, man? What led you to writing this badass book?
So it goes back. I'll give you the long version of the story. It goes back when I was about 17 years old. I was a senior in high school, and I had family members who were in the automotive industry. I had one uncle who was an auto body technician. I had another uncle who owned a used car dealership and did a lot of detailing and minor repairs and the sales of the cars and whatnot. So I got to hang out with these guys a lot. My mom was a single mom. My dad wasn't around much, just to be completely transparent. And basically it was like, hey, I can't watch you because I got to go make a living. You go with your uncles because I know they're going to basically keep a short lease with you. So she sent me out there and I actually liked it. I like working with my hands. I like being productive. I like seeing a finished product at the end of the day. So I would literally spend weeks, if not months over the summer with these guys. And they just beat me down, but in a good way. They instilled the work ethic into me that I still have to this day. And
carry on. I'm going to let her in, Thomas. Yeah. Carry on. You're good.
So for that, I'm really grateful. So here I am. I'm a senior in high school. And I was not a good student. I had to take an elective in order to graduate my senior year. And that elective was technical drawing. And I fucking despised it. It just wasn't me.
Yeah.
So I had been hanging out with a couple of kids who were a few years older than me. And one of them had an 87 Toyota Celica, real brown ass shitbox car. And he had a radio, a Sony 2-channel amplifier, and 2 6x9 speakers in the back deck. And we drove around town doing nothing because that's what teenagers do. And we were just listening to music. And I've always loved music too. And I'm like, holy shit, what the hell is in this car? Why does this sound like it does? So at the end of the night, he's kind of showing me his whole setup. And that was it. Instantaneously, I was like, fuck, I know what I want to do. I like cars, but I don't like auto body. And I'm not really that into the auto mechanics. I want to go do that shit right there. So I started doing some research. I went online. I found crutch. Actually, it wasn't online. This is before online. I mail ordered a Crutchfield catalog to my house, and I started reading this shit like a lunatic and learning as much as I could. I found out there was a association called the MECP, Mobile Electronics Certified Professional. So I find this out. I'm doing as much as I can as a 17-year-old kid, and I'm in this elective technical drawing that I can't stand. So I didn't know it at the time, but I guess I had the salesman instilled in me already, because I went to this teacher, Mr. Gargiulo. I'll never forget him. Good dude. I said, "Hey, Mr. G, I don't like your class." I said, "However, this," and I had the book at the point, the study guide for MECP. And I was like, "I want to do this. Like, I'm going to make a career out of installing audio into vehicles. Is there any way that you can help me through this process?" And it says here in this book that if there's a school librarian, the librarian can proctor this test, and I can be a certified professional by the end of the school year. And he's like, "Oh shit. All right, that's not a bad idea. Let me check with the principal and whoever he had to check with." So a week or two go by, and he's like, "Dude, we got the green light."
Yeah.
So he starts, putting together this course curriculum from the study guide I gave him, and just doing some stuff there, studying. I take the test, I pass, which is kind of funny because here I am, I'm 17 years old. I've never worked in a professional car audio shop, yet I'm a certified installer.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So that's basically where you began, and you formed your mastery around that, right?
Yep. So it started there. I went on to work at a couple of local shops and plateaued because there was nobody there who could teach me.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I had learned as much as I could possibly teach myself. I said to my mom, at this point in time, I also dropped out of community college, and my poor mother almost had a heart attack. So she's like, "What are you going to do with your life?" She's all pissed off at me. And finally, I'm like, "Hey, I want to go to this trade school because I'm going to be able to take what I know and just shoot it up into outer space with the knowledge." And the people that were there were just the top people in the industry at the time. So I go up to Boston, Massachusetts. I spend about 3 months there at this trade school, and I learned some just killer stuff that I still use to this day.
Right.
Come back down to Long Island, where I'm from. I'm born and raised in Long Island. And there was a shop about 10 minutes from my home that was the best place in town at the time. So I went in there and basically said, "Hey, I'm your dude. Like, I'm me being a cocky freaking 19-year-old, I know my shit. I'm fucking great. Put me into work." And the guy hired me. And when he hired me, he flat out told me, he goes, "You're 19 years old and you don't know a fucking thing." He goes, "I'm still going to hire you though." And he was 100% right. I learned a lot in the 3 years that I was there. Got to work on some, fantastic high-end vehicles, dealt with high-end clientele. I really just started to formalize my skill set and get really good at what I was doing.
Yeah.
So fast forward a couple of years. Go ahead.
That is like the scariest thing absolutely possible, is when you start working on them super high-end cars, especially when you're talking about, and a lot of, so we've got a lot of automotive technicians in here, and everybody can relate. That's like the one thing, dude, like literally, I remember the very first Bentley that I got in here, and we were looking at taking it apart, right? Taking the headliner down and all that stuff. We finally just agreed the whole vehicle was aluminum, and we're like, nope, we're going to fix it without any of that shit. We actually worked all the dents from the top of the surface, and just avoided everything possible that we could in taking that thing apart. A lot of people don't know, like, I'm sitting in my office, but I've got a full 5,000 square foot shop right here beside me. So yesterday we had a Porsche Macan that came in, and I'll tell you what, YouTube is your friend. YouTube is your friend, because we had to take off an interior door. They had to take off an interior door panel in there, and doing that required all kinds of random stuff that you would never know, or you would break it. And the Germans always make things so much more complicated, and so do the Italians and all this kind of stuff. So,
yeah, they do.
But yeah, I see what you're saying, because what you're telling me is you run a pursuit of greatness. You run a pursuit to form mastery around your craft. And then what developed? What turned that into Thomas the technician, to Thomas the business owner? Because Thomas, I believe that's what most people struggle with, is going from the technician role to the business owner role, because it looks like you're super excited to do the technical side of things. How did that change?
Yeah, it was my true passion for probably the first 3 quarters of my life, of my professional career. So I have a falling out with the owner. I want to start doing higher level work. And the guy didn't have the faith, the trust in me, and he didn't want to sell it. And going back and looking at it now as a business owner, I kind of understand why. So I said, all right, man, I know more than you. I quit. I had $300 cash in my pocket, and I went and I started working out of my mom's driveway for a cold ass winter in New York. A couple months later, I find a local body shop, rent space out of there for a year, and then find my own space and open up full-blown Exquisite Mobile Electronics, my first business. So that business survived for 5 years before I burned it and crashed it hard into the ground. And the reason why it crashed and burned so hard, and you just hit on it, was because I was the technician, and that's all I fucking knew. I was amazing at being a car audio installer. I could put an alarm or remote start in anything. You want to build a custom fiberglass panel, subwoofer enclosures, lit up plexiglass and aluminum, no problem. I'll bust it out in a router table in an hour. Like, that's the kind of shit that I did.
Yeah.
And I was good at that, but I didn't know anything about bookkeeping, accounting. Oh shit, we got to order inventory. Oh, we have a gas bill we have to pay so the heat stays on. Like, I'm just a dumb kid and I didn't know any of that stuff. So
I think a lot of people can relate to that though, man.
I really struggled, wound up. So here's the deal. So the stress level gets crazy. And I'm of the mindset now that the only way to succeed is to work harder. And I'm only focusing on what I'm comfortable with. So I'm working 20-hour days in the shop on my feet, stressed out, working on cars, sucking in MDF dust from the wood shop and fiberglass fumes, you name it. Bro, I'm a big dude. You've met me. I'm 6'4". Yeah. I ballooned up to about 300 pounds. Crazy stress. I start getting a pain in my ass, literally, and it winds up being sciatica. I had a motorcycle accident a couple of years earlier that I thought I was fine from, and I wound up having multiple herniated discs in my back. So, picture this: a bunch of car guys here. You guys will get it. G35 came out when they first came out. Okay, it's the a G35 coupe. They're real low to the ground. Dude comes in, says, "I want an alarm remote start." Sell him a nice Viper, and me being a technician, now I got to get down on my hands and knees on this tiny ass car and start installing this process. It's about probably a 3 to 5 hour job at the time. Down there, I'm not feeling good. My back's been bothering me for weeks, and I bent down, did the wrong thing, and I couldn't get off the floor. Ooh. So here I am, literally in the fetal position on the floor of my shop in the winter, cold ass winter, and I'm trying to crawl over to the phone on the wall because even cell phones weren't that popular at this time, you know. Crawl over to the wall on the phone to call my mom, and super mom comes a little while later and picks me up and somehow drags this fat 300-pound dude into her SUV at the time.
It's amazing how moms can gather that mom strength when they have to, man. You know what I mean?
That's what I call a super mom, So I wound up being in bed, literally in bed for 3 weeks. Yeah. In the business. This guy's car is in pieces in my shop. I'm the only one with the skill set capable of finishing it. So therefore, the car's 3 days old. not a happy customer.
No, man. No, I've been in similar situations, dude, and it's always horrible. Always horrible. When I ran an auto body shop, it was the worst because if one mistake is made on that line, it will literally throw every single job behind it off.
Yep.
And so you find yourself not pissing off like not only one person, but you'll piss off like everybody after that for the entire week.
Yep. Yep. So that being said, that was pretty much the final straw that burned that business to the ground. It stayed open for a couple months later, but the damage was done in those 3 weeks, and I had to shut down. I went back to work for somebody else. I worked for a company on the east end of Long Island for about 3 years. I was the 12-volt manager of the facility. They did all accessories, lift kits, you name it. It was a cool experience. We did some badass rides out there too. So about 3 years into it, I just got married, and the entrepreneurial bug is just like, it's poking at me. And I said, all right, cool. Let's roll with this. So my business partner now in Top Class Installations, which is my current business, we install GPS tracking and dash cameras in commercial vehicles. So my business partner, Jimmy, him and I, he hits me up and he's like, listen, we got an opportunity here to put something together. And we had tried this a couple of different times, but the timing was never right. Either I was getting married, he was getting married, he was buying a house, I was having kids. The timing just wasn't right. So we put this together. We start the business and we go boom. And we start repeating business number one problems all over again because he's just like me. We're both two technicians. We're fucking great at what we do, but we don't know anything about running the business.
Right. It's such a hard bridge though to gap because as a technician, people don't realize to actually grow and scale at some point, you might have to take a fucking pay cut, man. Like people don't realize that is like, just like our boy, Mark Evans, who a couple weeks ago won the Savage Monday. Right. What I learned from Mark Evans is dude has built multiple fucking business after business after business. It's all successful as fuck. He may be one of the most successful people that I know. And the truth of the matter is, he says every real estate business that he brokers or creates, like literally when it starts out and they hire their first salesman, it literally cuts down the broker's commission down to the point where the salesman is making like 3 times the amount of the broker, right? But the salesman can only sell so much. And then here comes another salesman and then another salesman. And then by the time they got 3 salesmen in place, right? So the brokerage is actually breaking even to the salesman's pay. Yeah. But next thing you know, 2 or 3 years later, they got 30 salesmen on the floor. And then that's where you make all your money. A lot of people don't realize sometimes you got to take a step back and actually take a pay cut. You got to take a hit. And I think as technicians, that's the one thing that most technicians fear the most. Yeah. Is that, I'm here, I'm using my hands, I'm making money. But that big picture planning is what is usually what's lacked on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying every scenario is exactly like that, but a lot of times in the beginning, when you grow and scale, you're going to take a cut. Yeah, man. You want to come in and say hi? Oh, you don't look. She don't look so good right now.
She's lying.
I think she looks good all the time. All right. Oh, did you? All right. Love you too. Bye. That was the wifey stopping by, guys. She wouldn't come. She wouldn't give you a camera appearance. But now let me ask you something. When you transformed from the technician to the entrepreneur, like what was the tipping point that caused you to do that, and how did things change for you?
Life-altering event. That's usually what triggers most things. The life-altering event for me was, so let me backtrack here for 1 second. So Top Class Installations is going to be 11 years old on September 25th, 2020, a couple days from now. Okay, so 5 years into that business, my wife tells me, hey, guess what? We're having a kid. So, which is cool because we were trying. Yeah. So that to me right there was the life-altering event. Like, holy shit, I'm going to become a dad. So now it's not just me and my wife I'm taking care of. I'm going to be taking care of flesh and blood that is now mine and my sole responsibility. Yeah. Now
you can tell, here's where you can tell Thomas is more responsible than me because he actually tries to have kids. I accidentally had one. I'm sitting here going, you were trying to have one?
I was getting old.
We always do it like this, Thomas. I knock her up and then we get married. Like the new American way. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, so you had a child. You had that.
So we had the kid, and the epiphany for me there was like, hey, I've got this business, and I know it can be great. However, going back to how it was when I was 19, I've got it to a point where I can't get it any further. I'm smart enough to know that I don't know it all.
Sure.
So I went on the search for a coach. Went out and we hired first business coach. He got us to one spot, transitioned over to another dude for a couple of years. And he basically took the business and me personally and just blew it up. And then that dude, we wound up transferring over. And that's how I got involved with Ryan Stewman over at the Apex Executives and Break Free Academy.
Yeah.
And it's just been this sequential thing that, and every step, every time that I invest in myself, the return I get is infinite.
Which I am a member of Apex Executive, and I'm part of the whole Break Free Academy. And Thomas here is my assigned business coach, and it's been phenomenal. We done time studies together and all kinds of great stuff. So it's been a great experience for me because I coach people. Like, I'm a business coach as well. But what you got to realize is that like a business coach needs a business coach, man. You know what I mean? It's like practicing what you preach. And understanding that, you need a different perspective. If anything, above and beyond that, somebody holding you accountable, and one of the coolest things is that I get to bounce things off of Thomas, Jeff, and Ryan. And I get like this trifecta of everything put together, whether it's I'm launching a funnel or I'm doing something like this, and I get 3 different perspectives that I can actually help them build off of. So that's been cool. So essentially what you're telling me is mentorship is really what got you to where, coaching or mentorship, whatever you want to call it. Mentorship is kind of a little different than coaching.
Sure.
Because in fact, I had a mentor that would be considered a coach to some of the people he's working with, because there was a couple people that he actually was coaching that was making a lot more money than him. Right. Meaning that, one of the dudes was in the 100 million, couple $100 million plus range. And at that point, he was more of a coach and with me, because he's crushing it and killing it. And I wanted to be where he was at the time. He was a mentor of mine. And I was learning from him. So a lot of people don't realize the difference of that, because a mentor is somebody who's been there exactly where you want to go and then can walk you to that place. And a coach is somebody who can pretty much bring the best out of you. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of a difference there. He actually had to sit down and explain that to me. He's like, well, in your situation right now, I'm a mentor, but in this guy's so-and-so situation, I'm actually his coach now, because he's actually surpassed me by double or something of that nature. And
I like that explanation. It's good.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. And I think, on all honesty, like you need both. I mean, it's like Michael Jordan had a coach, man, like one of the best basketball players on planet Earth. Not only that, he had what's his name that wrote the book Relentless, Tim Grover.
Sure did.
And if you guys haven't read the book Relentless, it is just absolutely filled with just nuggets of how somebody with the mindset of Michael Jordan functions. And then you've got Tim Grover, who's worked with multiple, like the best of the best. And I want to say, like, Tim Grover works with Andy Frisella. Andy Frisella was smart enough to know Andy Frisella probably makes more money than Tim Grover, but he knew that he needed a coach, somebody who can take his mindset and force his mindset to go to that next level. Yeah, and Thomas, so you've actually something's going on here in the group, and if some of you podcast listeners have not heard about this, we actually started 75 Hard this week on Tuesday, September the 1st. And I'm in like a messenger group with like 2 or 3 different groups. But it all started with Ryan Stewman. He came out and said something. I replied to one of his comments, and I'm in one of his groups. And I think there's about 10 of us in there. There's a little messenger group I got going on, another one of people that followed me. And then we also got the group in here inside of the Marketing Savage that we're all trying to keep each other accountable. Now, Thomas, you've already done 75 Hard. Yeah, in fact, you're just coming off of 75 Hard. Maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
More than that. I finished the last week of July.
Okay, so you finished the last week of July. Yeah. Can you let everybody kind of know, what did that do for you? Because we're talking about mindset right now, right? We just talked about Tim Grover. We talked about Andy Frisella. We just talked about Ryan Stewman, probably 3 of the strongest mindsets that I've ever known. And what did 75 Hard, which was actually created by Andy Frisella, what did that do for you during this whole, and you did it during the COVID crisis, which I love, because that's really the time everybody needed to do it.
Yeah. Let me give some backstory there and it'll lead into that. So this whole pandemic, whatever you want to call it, starts, and I start falling victim to the force of average, like most people. And
now explain what the force of average is, because this is something that comes from Ryan Stewart.
Yeah, this is Ryan. It's literally the universe conspiring to keep you average. It's noticing that you're about to do something big in your life, and it throws obstacles in your way that keep you back, hold you back, keep you average.
Dude, I got a fucking trampoline back here in my office to remind me that when you jump on it, it's the dip. It's the world pushing you down. Like, trying to hold you down is actually what sends you higher. And I jump on it every day just to remind me that I'm always going to fight that resistance.
Love it, man.
And it's exactly like the force of average. So you fell victim to this force of average, which is normally what we got to do. We almost got to hit rock bottom before we make a huge life change. And so what exactly happened?
So I was going to the gym, working out, let's call it 3 to 5 days a week for 3 years, working out with a trainer. Got strong, but I wasn't lean. Okay. I was lifting heavy weights and just basically throwing the weights around a lot. Okay. Was doing a lot better than I had been a couple of years previously, but I wasn't taking my health seriously. So COVID comes here in New York, gym shut down immediately. I mean, until last week, they just opened, by the way. Gym shut down. I was good for 3 to 5 alcoholic beverages a day for probably the past 7 or 8 years of my life.
Yeah.
So you couple this, no gyms, a bunch of alcohol every day, whether it was, vodka sodas or just a couple of beers.
Yeah.
And now I'm eating like dog shit because I'm just grabbing food and being lazy at home.
Yeah.
And I threw on some extra weight. Not happy. Wasn't feeling good about myself. And I said, you know what? Hold on. Wait a minute here. Wait a minute.
Now you threw on like an extra 20 pounds, didn't you? About an extra 20
I
pounds?
put on almost 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, I have two choices. I can go out of this pandemic when it's done being worse off, or I could do something that's going to be pretty difficult and come out a better person in multiple areas of my life. And that's the option I went with. I had known about 75 Hard at that point. It had been out and released, and people have been doing it for about a year. And I wanted to do it. I didn't think I had the ability to do it. I thought that the alcohol was going to be the most difficult portion to eradicate from my life. And it was actually the easiest. So I started, and I believe it was May. It was still a little cool up here. I mean, I remember going on my first couple of walks. I was wearing a hoodie sweatshirt with a rain jacket over it because, it was raining and cold. And I wound up finishing I guess it was the last week of July, or maybe the third week of July it was. But man, I got to tell you, on day 3, a 2x4 of reality smashed me in the face as hard as it could.
Yeah.
And that was just the clarity that the program gives you. It was me getting clean, me thinking clearer, me getting rid of toxins in my body, me pushing myself harder than I had ever pushed myself physically before, or probably since high school football 20 something years ago. And I realized that I was settling for average in multiple areas of my life. And so you got to understand something for me. Okay. One of my core values is I refuse to be average.
Yeah.
So I realized, holy shit, I'm not even living my core values here. Like, whoa, major fucking problem, dude. Let's get to work. So I realized that I'm not thrilled with my current business. Okay. Even though it's doing great and it awards me the ability to do things like this and other businesses and other things that I have revenue streams that I focus on as well. I realized that I had set a goal with my wife to move out of state. And that was 2 years ago. And I hadn't done anything with it. And so on day 3, I was like, all right, here's the list of shit. I'm working on that right now. I'm working on that right now. And I've always wanted to start my own coaching and mastermind business. And fucking there's the push button. Let me push that too. Let's take it all on at the same time, like a lunatic.
Yep.
And I did. And you know what? The 75 Hard program gave me the mental fortitude, the mental strength, the clarity to go and get shit. I think by the time 75 Hard was done, 90% of it was completed, done.
Yeah. It's amazing how that happens whenever you actually get clear on what you want. And I'm actually feeling similar because I am 2 days into 75 Hard, of course. And I've been getting all my workouts and everything done, like I told you before we got on here, by 8 a.m. Mm-hmm. And I've got my reading. Actually find that when you're working in between, when you're in the gym, you're working out in between the sets, I can pick up my phone, and I normally read about 30 pages on my phone. So that's the equivalent of about 10 pages of normal. Mm-hmm. But I'll actually, that's how I read my books, is on my phone, so I got iBooks, and I will just read my book as I'm in between sets and go from one machine to the next. So I actually have my book finished by the time I'm done with my workouts. Mm-hmm. Go out, do my meditation, do my second workout, and then get it done. But yeah, I'm actually feeling that same clarity. I did it once for 45 days and I quit. I was honest about that. I told everybody about that. And but it feels amazing. I got like a new renewed spirit about it this time. And it's been incredible. So incredible experience. I definitely recommend anybody who wants to jump on it in this group or on this podcast, jump on it. If you're not in the group, get in the group. There's a lot of support here. And I was actually talking about this earlier because for a group of 500 people, we got a lot of really active, great people in this group. And that's the key, because I've been in groups where there's been like 10,000 people, but all you see is like spammy shit, or when somebody posts something, everybody gets a fucking stick up their ass and starts talking shit and all that stuff. And I decided from the day one that this group wasn't going to be that way. that it was going to be an open place for anybody. Like, I don't give a fuck who they are. Like, if you don't know business at all and you come in here and you ask a question, there's never going to be a day where people like start jumping on you for asking some sort of silly question or something to that nature. Because the truth is, if one person's thinking it, there's a lot of people that actually want to ask that question.
Yep. And so you got to remind that person, hey, one day you were there too. Maybe it was last year, maybe it was 10 years ago, but you were in that seat once too.
Absolutely. I'd rather build slow with good people than try to build super fast with assholes.
100%, man.
So that being said, so writing this book, Unfuck Your Business, I've actually just got this the other day. So I've been able to kind of skim through it. And I noticed the core value section. I noticed that there's some sections here on time studies, which are super important. And I actually did Thomas's time study, which was essentially, why don't you go ahead and tell them about it, Thomas? Because I believe a lot of people day in and day out really need to hear and know this shit.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about the time study that you created.
Sure. So basically, in order to stay focused and use your time as wisely as possible, because listen, I'm sure everyone here's heard it before, but time is one of those resources that we can never renew. It's finite. We cannot make more time of our own. We can't gift it to our children when they get older. It is what it is. So where are you spending your time? And how can you maximize it is basically where this time study comes from. And that's one of the reasons I developed it. And I find that most entrepreneurs, myself included, we focus most of our time on tasks that should be delegated off to somebody else on the team.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Like there's a point in time in your business where you should not be the technician anymore.
If you would have caught me 6 months earlier, I'd have been fucked on that time study. I was already in the mindset that I don't do anything unless I systemize it or I set it up to scale. So I was pretty, where it helped me the most, Thomas, was it actually just made me look at what I spend my daily time doing, right? Because although when I did do shit, I was systemizing it. What the fuck am I spending the rest of my 4 hours on? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Am I dicking off? Am I just because, I've got this habit of wanting to do whatever the fuck I want to do, like anytime I want to do it. And I kind of get mad about it because I'm like, dude, if I want to come in on Monday, I don't want to do shit all day. I don't have to do shit. I can walk around here, dick around in my shop. I can do whatever the hell I want to do all day. And then that slapped me in the face because now I'm like, holy shit, man, I'm like spending most of my time just doing whatever the fuck I want. From the outside looking in, I feel like I'm accomplishing stuff, but from the outside looking in, it would look like I'm accomplishing a shit ton. Like everybody looks at what I do and they're like, dude, how do you sleep? And I'm like, I almost became a victim of my own systems. Like I set up so many systems around me and got everybody working around me and all my assistants. I got 4 assistants working for me full time. I became a victim of that and started spending my time on anything I wanted to do. When I could actually spend the time even amplifying and working more. And but the truth of the matter is, like, if you spend your time just fucking off all day, like I was doing occasionally, you don't feel quite fulfilled.
No, you don't.
You don't feel quite. It seems awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the biggest problems is that when you fuck off and there's some other stuff to do, for most entrepreneurs, they begin to feel guilty.
That's true, man.
So if it's not on your schedule, you don't do it. Your schedule is your boss when you're the entrepreneur. You don't have somebody above you. You don't have someone saying, get back to work, break time's over. So that calendar becomes your boss. When the calendar says, hey, Tom, get on the fucking call with John right now because you got to go live on Facebook. Well, guess what do? Okay, got to go. I was on a Zoom call with a coaching group that I'm part of, and I had to say, hey, guys, I got to go. I can't hang out any longer because my calendar told me I had to be here with you. Right. And in order to build that discipline, that's what this time study is for.
Yeah.
So step one, and
that's
you went through this. Yeah. Step one is a 2-week long time study. Yeah. You're going to document every single thing you do for 2 weeks long, and you're going to break it down into 15-minute increments.
And I'm talking about all day long, y'all, from
like when you take a shit
of the like literally when you wake up to the moment you go to bed at night. One of the things I liked about your time study is it also focused on the moments that you created with your loved ones. And one of my M4s in this group is moments. And in fact, the moments paid the highest pay. It was like $10,000 an hour.
Yep.
Because the truth of the matter is Thomas knows something, right? He knows something that we're trying to talk about. What we're trying to preach to a lot of people in this group is that the truth of the matter is the moments with the people you love is literally my wife actually looked at that and she had a bone to pick with you about that. She goes, "Oh, so he's telling $10,000 an hour to spend time with your wife?" She's like, "I'm priceless." She said it wasn't enough money, man. People who know my wife would laugh at that because that's the first thing she would look at it and say. She's like, "Oh, he's only saying it's $10,000 an hour."
$10,000 an hour and up. That's how the buckets work. That's
the buckets
price. There's the savior right there.
Yeah, exactly, man.
So basically, after you go through your 2 weeks, you have all of these time blocks set off, right? And you now have to take those time blocks and drop them into the appropriate bucket. There's 4 buckets in the time study. The first one's $10 an hour. The second one is $100 per hour task. The third one is $1,000, and the final one is $10,000 per hour. And when I say task, I'm going to read all some of these here for you. So like $10 an hour task is data entry, updating customers, confirming appointments, scheduling work, invoicing a customer. And this is the kicker that most people fucking hate when I tell it to them, but it's you working as a technician within your business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those $10 an hour tasks are the ones that you need to systematize. Like you're the master at systematizing shit, right? Systematize and then delegate that off to somebody else in your team.
Yeah.
Because realistically speaking, it also helps for you to figure out how much money you're making per hour in your company. And most people I speak to are entrepreneurs. They're around the 250 mark and up.
Sure.
So these are $10 an hour tasks, which means you can go and hire an employee for, let's call it $10, $15, $20, $30 an hour to come in and take care of these tasks for you. So what are you doing touching them? You're actually costing your business money.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of the things that I actually learned this from Mark Evans as well. I know I keep talking about him. But Mark Evans actually told me, he's like, you're not dropping $40,000 a year on assistant or $35,000 a year on assistant. He goes, you're spending $500 to $750 a week to buy 40 hours of your time back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it clicked for me. It was like, oh shit, well, I never really looked at it like that. I always looked at it like an expense rather than spending that much money to buy that much of my time back. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm in, because now I can move to areas where my KPIs, my returns are better, and I can stay in them areas and continue making them returns.
Yeah, for sure. So let me move forward here on the second bucket, which is $100 an hour task. This is a lot of marketing. This is a lot of sales, implementing software, bringing people through the hiring process within your company, right? The third bucket is $1,000 per hour tasks. This is you actually designing the systems and processes, which will then be delegated off to others. This is you recording videos, podcasting, working with a coach, attending seminars, conferences, you working on you, self-developing yourself so you can then become a better leader within your organization, right? The $10,000 an hour task, this is the big bucket, right? This is you spending time with your loved ones. This is you going on date night with your wife. This is you going and getting a massage. This is you taking care of yourself on a physical level. This is you going to the gym in the morning, okay? The reason why it's $10,000 an hour is because you can't make enough money to replace that shit in your life.
Well, truth. Think about this, Thomas. And think about this, everybody out there listening. Look, this thing right here, the body, this vessel that you're in, the people that are around you, this ecosystem you created, this life, like all of it's gone without you. You know what I mean? Like none of this shit without you here, your fucking cars, your business, like none of that shit means anything without you physically here. So to neglect yourself physically would, number one, you're fucking up. You're creating like a domino effect to actually begin to hurt your business. And then when you hurt your relationships, they hurt you. And then you can't function as well as you could potentially function being whole.
Mm-hmm. So true, man. So what I instruct people to do, and I try to work people through this, and this is not something that happens overnight. Okay. But the ultimate goal for you as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, is to completely rid yourself of tasks in bucket 1 and bucket 2. You only want to focus on 3 and 4. Okay, listen, there's some stuff in bucket 3 that you're just not going to get rid of. All right. And in bucket 4, the whole reason that we become entrepreneurs and business owners is for that elusive freedom.
Right.
So that freedom right there gives you the ability, like for you, hey, I'm going to Zion with my wife for, a week, couple days, whatever. Awesome, bro. You built that. You deserve it.
Yep. We're heading to Nashville tomorrow. Spur of the
Love
moment. I was like, okay, let's just drive to Nashville. And we're going to spend the weekend in Nashville, chill out, man. Stuff like that puts me on straight, man. I get out of town, go see some new shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. You got to be able to position yourself so when you leave, everything just doesn't stop. And what I actually find myself doing, see, I don't really write the systems anymore. So I've got somebody who writes all the systems for me. But it's like, I occasionally got to let them know. I'll be like, man, we got a system for this, So there's a little bit of management there on my behalf. You know what I mean? When I'm just like, hey, we got a system for this. But other than that, like a lot of people, that's the one thing you got to realize is that, a lot of people we're talking to are entrepreneurs. Most of them that I meet and that I know are not people who like to fucking sit down and write systems, man.
Nope, not at all. Too much.
Like, almost all of them. So what you got to do is when you hire somebody to actually step into that role and to do these things for you, you got to hire somebody that's the opposite of who you are. Mm-hmm. Most people make the biggest mistake of going and hiring their friends and surrounding themselves with the same type of people. And dude, we're going to get in here and we're going to kick ass, and, bro, we're going to go to lunch and all this shit. Fuck that. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're like me, I'm trying to find like the most technical sit down numbered data, type person I can possibly find and put them in that position. I ain't trying to hire another one of me, man. If I hired another one of me, bro, we would end up like getting into an argument in week number 1. And then I would go across the street and open up a shop across from me. And we would all of a sudden have the Hatfields and fucking McCoys up in this bitch because I couldn't get along with myself.
Yeah, it's 100% true. So I don't know your take on it and what you've done in the past, but the way that's worked well for me is to start, especially when you're starting off the company, make sure if you haven't in the past, let's call it 6 months, take a personality test. Okay. They have paid ones out there that are great. The predictive index is my personal favorite, but it's not cheap. You can also go on, I believe it's TonyRobbins.com/DISC, DISC. And there's a free DISC assessment on there. It's not a full-blown DISC assessment because you got to pay for that, but it's enough information where you're going to be able to find out who you are and where you sit. Take that data, and now when you bring somebody on as an assistant, that's part of the hiring hoops, the hiring process is to put them through an assessment, right? And make sure that person is as much polar opposite as you are on paper.
Yeah. Because that's the only way you're going to get the ball moving forward, man. And you're going to hand off a lot of shit you don't want to do.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do, and I was talking to Thomas about this earlier, and he allowed me, and I'm going to put it all over it as well, to use his buckets inside of my daily Savage scheduler, which I'm going to give you guys to be able to download. My buckets are a little bit different because it's more with the whole Savage thing and the M4 and all that kind of stuff. And there's a whole scoring system. And below it, we got something called MITs. Which are your most important task. And the MIT is something that actually is to move the needle forward on your dream, in your business, the life that you want to live. If you do it, it moves the needle forward. And each time you complete one, if it's at an energy level and if it's at a importance level of 10, you get 20 points. You're 20% entrepreneur. There's 5 of them, right? If you can do 5 of them bitches a day like I do every day and move the needle forward 5 times a day, you'll see fucking rapid changes quick. But what I actually did was I incorporated Thomas's buckets into it because now you can track if them MITs are bringing big returns. Mm-hmm. What type of money return is this MIT going to bring to me or bring to my life? That's what more of the less like. That's where I function the best. I know a lot of people just got to find out where you function the best. I actually, believe it or not, I still fill out my calendar every week and I fill out everything I'm going to do every hour. But literally my most important thing is if I can knock out 5 MITs a day and actually take them something that's going to move the needle from here to here in my business, then I'm fucking winning. If I can do 5 of them a day, that's 100% full on fucking Jeff Bezos fucking entrepreneur style. If you can knock out 5 of them bitches per day.
Hell yeah. Listen, it all stems with you taking absolute 100% control of your time. And that's you not allowing others to dictate when and where you need to be someplace. As harsh as that may sound,
Yeah.
All right. Like you are the boss of your time. If you have someone who's a time suck in your life, I hate to break it to you, but get rid of them.
Yeah. We call them time vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you always got to watch out for a time vampire because they will steal your time unapologetically. I occasionally get somebody that hits me up with the "Can I pick your brain" thing, the very first excerpt. I'll give you guys a little suggestion. The first time you fucking reach out with somebody, don't start with "I just want to pick your brain."
Mm-hmm.
Because basically that's like walking into a bar and asking a girl if she wants to fuck within the first 10 minutes of meeting her. Like, Jesus, are you going to buy me a fucking drink first? Or are you just going to ask me to bend over and give it to you?
Yep.
There's been several times where I've replied back to some of them and I send them like a 2,500 because Facebook's got that thing where you can send an invoice out. I'll shoot a 2,500 invoice back, and say, sure, we can book an hour of my time.
Dude, it's so funny because I use Calendly as a scheduler tool.
Yeah.
Right? And it's one of the ways that enables me to keep control of my calendar. And basically, if someone hits me up, even if it's for legitimate business purposes, and they want, hey, I need to have a call with you to discuss this project. Okay, cool. Here's my calendar link. Pick a time that works for you. Oh, you're not available now? Nope. I've got prior obligations. Okay. So I have a calendar link in Calendly that I built that literally is titled "Pick My Brain," and it links to a PayPal page for a $750 an hour fee.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Most of the time you probably hear crickets on that one, right?
Never hear back ever.
Yeah, because honestly, what Ryan Stewman calls them kangaroos, which I think is fucking hilarious. So, like, the first time I heard that, I was like, my God, this guy's genius. Like, how did he come up with the fucking name? Look, here's the kangaroo guys. Their arms are so short, they can't reach their back pocket. Mm-hmm. They can grab all the free shit and stuff it in their front pouch they possibly can grab a hold of, The funny thing is, I was talking to one of my employees, and I was telling him about the kangaroo, we're teaching him marketing and shit. And he goes, that's my dad. And I'm like, really? And he goes, no, I swear. He's like, he won't even buy a video game off of like the iPhone. He goes and finds the fucking, what do they call them, like dupes or whatever.
Yeah.
And downloads the free version of anything, and which, look, man, there's room for that in this world. Don't get me wrong. Being frugal and being smart with your money is good. You know what I mean? But then there's also times where you got to understand, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're not just working for somebody, that you, dude, to get myself to the next level, I'll drop stacks.
Well, that's also one of the reasons why you need to know how much you're worth right now per hour and then shoot to constantly increase that number, right? So if let's just throw a number out there, you're worth $500 an hour.
Yeah.
You could always look back to that time study and say, okay, what kind of stuff over here is Tom? What kind of stuff is John talking about in this time study? Like, do you think mowing your own lawn is a $1,000 an hour task?
Hell no, man. Let me tell you who mows my lawn.
Yeah, the landscaper.
My old lady that came in here. No, she made me fire the landscapers. It's hilarious. Yeah. She goes out and mows the lawn. She likes it. She does it like a workout. Mm-hmm. And I had landscapers coming out and was paying them to mow the lawn. Finally, she comes to me one day. She goes, "Will you buy me a lawnmower?" Mm-hmm. I'm like, who's not fucking using it, right? And she's like, all right. I'm like, if you ever ask me to mow the grass, I'm just going to get on the phone and call somebody.
Yeah.
She's been mowing it ever since, man.
Yeah. Listen, man, you're not doing it. Bottom line, you're the one who's not doing it, which is the important part.
Yeah. Now, if I enjoyed it like her and turned on my Apple Watch and treated it like a workout and shit.
Yeah.
That's the scenario, but I don't fucking enjoy that shit.
No, I hate it. I hate it too.
That shit, actually.
If something's a hobby, it's different.
Yeah.
It totally is.
Yeah.
But to me, cutting the grass is not fun. I don't like dealing with all that shit in my nose anyway.
It's so interesting about hobbies because one of the mentors that I had in the past, and phenomenal fucking marketer, and he's in the group as well, Eric Graham, just absolutely one of the best copywriters I've ever met in my life, and just a phenomenal guy all around. Just he's fucking amazing. I mean, he's done shit with the best marketers in the world. Like he's literally ran funnels, best fucking people in the world. Mm-hmm. Ran shit on like Blue Blocker, Sundial, like all kinds of shit like that, right? And he told me, he goes, the one qualification that he has to work in somebody, talking about hobbies and stuff like that, is that they had to form mastery around something. Like he won't work with somebody unless they form mastery around something. So, for instance, if somebody was like a black belt in karate, then he would work with them in business because he can take them skills that this individual formed mastery around and actually apply them to other areas in their life. Because a lot of times, a lot of people realize this, like I got a buddy of mine who is like pretty much like a bodybuilder, but he's a fitness coach. And he is fucking body looks amazing. He's rock solid. The rest of his life's in fucking shambles. He's always got another girl problem. And I mean, it's just like one thing after the fucking next. And it's just hilarious to talk to him, and I love him to death. But if he knew how to take where he put mastery at, when he mastered his body and mastered the gym and he could actually apply that to other areas of his life.
Yeah, and kill it in all spots.
Just kill it in all areas. So, but a lot of times that's where a coach or a mentor can actually come in and say, okay, well, let's look at what you're doing here. And it's like almost like they pull the veil from over your eyes. And now you can see like, oh shit. Okay. Well, fuck, this is what it took for me to master this one skill. It's the exact fucking thing. Yeah. Anything you do.
It's repurposed. Man, one of my first coaches, real smart dude. His name is Dean Mercado. He owns a marketing agency up here on Long Island. And one of the things that he taught me early on was go and look at other industries, other verticals, and see how they're winning and what they're succeeding at. And then look at it and say, hey, how can I take this and implement it into my business? Because he goes, stop reinventing the wheel. He goes, first off, nothing's new these days anyway. Take what an HVAC installation company is utilizing and winning at, and see, hey, how can I implement that into the GPS tracking installation industry? And I got to tell you, man, that right there was a game changer for us, especially early on.
Dude, that's fucking awesome. And then if you actually can go another step into that, you can listen to what Dan Flashman talks about, and actually into Dan Flashman's a fucking genius. Going into the reviews of the company and looking at what people don't like. You know what I mean? Like actually dialing in and reading into what people don't like, what they do like, and then how can you fucking strengthen what the people love and also strengthen what they don't like, to create that unique experience that everybody needs. I actually just listened to the Magnetic Marketing book again the other day on my 75 hard journey. And, listen to that book just brought me back to all of that stuff about like what is unique about your company and what sets you apart from your competitors and what makes your market presence. And then not only that, like what type of experience is the client and customer getting when they come to you and when they leave you, and all of this important shit that you put together when you structure a functioning business. And this is the thing I believe this entire group needs to hear, these type of things. Yeah,
for sure. For sure. Listen, man, that's powerful right there. Matter of fact, if you just saw my eyes hit the paper, that's because I was writing that down as a note, because that's something that I'm going to study and work on implementing in my businesses.
Hell yeah, man. Well, brother, I know you probably got to go because you're probably on your next, appointment here because it's 12:58.
Yep.
But can you tell everybody, I've got the Unfuck Your Business right here, of course, that they can find on Amazon. Sure. They can find it at your website.
Yeah. So hold up the book again, if you could, and show the name at the bottom, because my name has no H in it. That's very important. Okay. So my website is thomaskeenan.com. As simple as that. Just remember there's no H. You can go there, find links to the book. The links just bring you right over to Amazon. You can find it as a paperback. You can find it as a Kindle or even an audiobook. And once you go over to the website too, you can see some of the stuff about me, some of the coaching stuff that we offer, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm probably, just a heads up for everybody in the group, I'm probably going to change this day because I forgot that I have mastermind meetings on Thursdays. So I'm going to figure out a good day for this in this group. And every week I'm going to try to get somebody on here inside of the group. And obviously you guys can see Thomas is a powerhouse. This group is full of fucking powerhouses. Whether it's coaches, whether it's marketers, whether it's sales, whether it's, just people, and not to mention, guys, just the normal people, you guys that are in here learning, ask questions, get involved. We want that, man. Just get involved.
Yeah, man. Right back. You're the same way as I am. And that's probably one of the reasons we get along so well.
Yep.
I'm an open book. If someone's got a question and they need help with something, like, dude, shoot me an email, shoot me a DM. It may take me a day to get back to you, but I will get back to you and I will help you as best as I possibly can.
Yep. And I'll end this by right here. This is one of the things that I'm giving away to Miranda for this month, for winning this month, because nothing is more savage than a fucking hatchet.
Love it, man.
So, all right, everybody. So anyhow, we appreciate you for coming along on this podcast and this webcast. And as usual, we're going to see you on the next one. Appreciate you, Tom.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.